Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Wasted Local Fantasy Football Podcast, and I did it again.
You forgot where we were.
I forgot. I mean, I know where we're at, but I forgot what we were recording.
Oh, yeah. This is what you just introduced.
Yes. And I'm not eating this week. I actually just ate, so you don't have to listen to that again.
And shout out to Nathan for calling Daniel out on that, even though he is the absolute worst person to be in an Xbox party with.
Yeah. You've got no room to talk, Mr. I'm going to eat Cheez-Its for 2 hours while we're playing Xbox. So,
and I know everyone out there that has ever played with him knows.
Yeah, everybody knows.
He just sucks on his fingers. Okay.
Yeah, the next episode, I'm just going to eat a box of Cheez-Its, Nathan, so you get a taste of your own medicine. So, so things were kind of crazy this week in fantasy.
Yeah, it started off with Myles Garrett bashing in Mason Rudolph's head.
Yep.
And that was exactly what this fantasy week was like.
Yeah. It kind of like paved the way for the rest of the week. I mean, nobody really did too well.
No.
I mean, I scored 132 points, but other than that, everybody was like kind of, mediocre. Just did well. Jess is doing well. We may have jumped the gun on burying her.
No, it was still fun.
Yeah, it's still fun. But let's go ahead and get into what happened this week. So we'll start at the top here, as usual. Hover around genocide. Myself took out Michael, the chosen one, 132.1 to 111.9. And
this is bad for Michael.
Very bad for Michael.
Very bad.
Tyreek Hill got me 0 points. He got hurt, and I still put up 132 points.
Yeah.
Whenever I heard that he went out, and because Michael still had during last night's game, he still had Melvin Gordon and
Keenan Allen,
and they did pretty good for him. But I was still like, this is like karma for me coming back and beating Jed. Like, it's probably going to happen because Tyreek Hill went out, and I'm like, crap. But,
well, of course, you have Lamar Jackson, who's just been going nuts, and Mark Andrews, who has been going nuts. And then your flex position between Calvin Ridley and DJ Chark, you started the wrong one, but Calvin Ridley got you 24.3 points, and DJ Chark, I mean, if you would have started him over Tyreek Hill, which you probably might need to do if Tyreek Hill is injured.
I mean, he's on a bye week this week, so
okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to put. Well, we'll see it in my lineup for this coming week. But yeah, he's the only person I've got on a bye, and this is the last week for buys in the NFL. So this will be the last week that we'll have to worry about bye weeks. Thank God.
And Marlon Mack had one of his best weeks of the season
and broke his hand.
Yep. So you might be weak. You have
got Phillip Lindsay. That's it.
Yeah, you might be a little bit weak there.
Yeah, it worries me going into the playoffs, but they're saying that there's a chance he could come back. But the thing is like, there's only 2 weeks left in the regular season of fantasy. Yeah. And I don't think that with a broken hand, he's going to be coming back. Maybe if I make like the final round of the playoffs, there's a potential, but even then there's only 4 weeks left in our fantasy football league. So
he'll be back if the Colts make the playoffs, but they have plenty of stuff going for them. Mm-hmm. I saw Quentin Nelson throw a block. I was watching Twitter before I got here. He started up the middle. They faked a stunt up the middle with the middle linebacker, and then they blitzed the outside linebacker, and he filled the gap in the middle and then kicked all the way to the outside and hit the outside linebacker and blocked him 20 yards backwards into the end zone. So they have maybe the best offensive lineman in the league right now in Quentin Nelson. I mean, that's just a side note. If you're a geek like me and you like a good block, I love watching stuff like that. Look up Quentin Nelson because he's like 300 pounds and he laterally moved 6 yards in the span of 0.2 seconds and just absolutely decleated this guy. It was pretty cool.
I need to watch that.
It was good.
So yet again, for another week, quarterback woes for Michael are an issue. He started Kyle Allen.
Yikes. You know what?
Well, he threw some interceptions. Go ahead and continue. I'm going to
I
look that up.
texted Michael last night because Jimmy G scored almost 30 points in his game. So if Michael...
4 interceptions he threw.
Kyle Allen threw 4 interceptions. If Michael had started Jimmy Garoppolo, he would have been plus 25 points over top of Kyle Allen and would have beaten you. So, quarterback woes.
Definitely.
Get Michael again. So, of course, if he picks up Jimmy G for next week, then he probably will return to his 4-point performances. And Michael he's going to not make the playoffs because of his quarterback play.
Yeah. He's gone from first after like 4 or 5 weeks to 7th.
It's rough.
It's bad. It's not looking too good, Michael. But there's still a chance. There's still 2 weeks left. You can still pull something out. All right. On to the next game. We've got Team King Dingus, Josh, taking out Nathan, the other tied for second place.
Yeah, the Wrath of Quan.
110.4 to 95.7.
This was a big game for Josh. Josh needed to win to keep his playoff hopes alive, to keep serve with the rest of these people. It's not as important for Nathan to win. He might want to be concerned that James Conner is hurt again. That's one of the reasons he only scored 95.7 points. But he technically, you and I are mathematically locked into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Nathan is not quite yet, but he would have to lose both games and someone would have to win both games. And
2 people would have to win both games and beat him in points.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So
there's still a chance.
There's
but
a small chance. So Nathan doesn't necessarily need to be concerned with a loss right now, but maybe more concerned with James Conner, 2.1 points, Devin Singletary, 8.4 points, Kenny Golladay, 3.9 points, Sony Michel, 5.4 points. So he has, T.Y. Hilton, 0 points. He's
on his bench.
Yeah, he's injured, but if you look at his team, of course he has Saquon Barkley on a bye, who's his number 1 overall draft pick.
He picked up Jay Ajayi, which Philly did they actually sign him?
I believe so.
Did they actually sign him back? Good.
So
I always liked watching him play. Like I thought he wasn't ever consistent. He wasn't ever amazing, but I liked him.
Yeah, but Nathan, his team's not bad, but if what has been happening regularly, it looks like in order to win in the playoffs, you're going to have to put up at least 120 points. Minimum. Maybe 140 points, depending on who you play, depending on what week. But so 95.7 points, he's probably not happy with. Josh, on the other hand, finally kind of got lucky for once where he had Stephon Diggs on his bench. David
Johnson putting up a big fat 0.
Yeah. So
I thought that was it for him.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought that the fact that, David Johnson, he played. He only played like 8 snaps though. And there's clearly, obviously with
that guy from the Dolphins.
Yes. That guy.
We'll talk about him later when we remember his name.
With him coming in and look at Jet's team real quick and find out. Shit, I can't remember his name.
Kenyon Drake.
I knew it started with a K. But
not Kalen Ballage, who was on Josh's bench.
No. But yeah, David Johnson, I think there's something, he might be projected as like healthy, but I think there's something like a little bit more underlying that is keeping him from playing. Well,
when he got hurt, they made some moves to get Kenyon Drake. They also figured out that, is it Chase Edmonds? He can do just fine. And they have been, Kyler Murray's been throwing the ball 50 times a game. And they might, I don't know if they think David Johnson's not as good at catching the ball out of the backfield or what, but he's losing snaps every week. And it's really kind of hurting Josh. But if he has Mark Ingram in his flex position, he could have started him and then put Stephon Diggs in that flex position.
Yeah, that's what I said on Sunday. Is like, why do you, with David Johnson not doing much, put Mark Ingram in your number 1 running back spot, and Stephon Diggs is, I mean, yeah, he didn't have a great game against the Cowboys, but before that, he was putting up big numbers.
Yeah.
And they were playing the Broncos. Like,
And he's not a bad flex play. He could get you 40 points, but he's going to get you at least some points.
He's going to get you more than 0, typically.
Yes, typically. I mean, I'm sure he'll lay an egg just when Josh needs him to score. But Josh's team looks really good besides that 0. Like you said, if he just makes a few different changes, he's in that 130, 140 range that puts him at the top of the league.
Now, it's promising, though, which I was looking at a little bit ago, is Josh Allen on Nathan's team passing for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns.
1 rushing.
And 1 rushing touchdown. So that's pretty good. That's his best game of the year so far.
Yeah, Josh Allen could put up some fantasy points. And that's what Nathan needs because, like we talked about, he's got some injury concerns elsewhere.
Yep.
So,
yeah, other than James Conner, I mean, Devin Singletary could eventually.
Splitting time.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of his running backs are doing right now, splitting time. And then, that's... Yeah. You just got to play the right one.
Yep.
Good luck, Nathan.
If you win one more, you'll be fine for the playoffs.
Stone cold, hard, knocked, locked, whatever they say on the show.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Indeed.
Injured reserve shat on bald bear fighter's head.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Oh my gosh.
Because Jed hasn't had a great couple of weeks.
He hasn't.
It's been there for a bit. He was putting up, even though he'd lost a couple, putting up like 130, 140 points.
He beat me, which it was twice in the same season. It feels bad. But if he would have won this week, he would have been in the driver's seat. He would have had to only win probably one more game because of the point advantage for the tiebreaker that he has. And instead, he's now tied with, I believe, 4 different people because he lost. And he, I mean, I don't know. He's got a lot of buys next week, which we're going to talk about, which if he loses, then he might not be able to catch up with someone that wins next week.
And there's one game next week that there's 2 people tied for that 4th place spot.
Yeah.
So one of them is going to win.
Yes.
More than likely. If there's a tie, it's just going to be nuts.
Yeah, I hope they tie.
Yeah. So yeah, Jed's
behind the 8 ball a little bit he finally got Mahomes and Kelsey back. They're on a bye next week.
But even then, Mahomes 15 points.
That's not great.
Not for your first round draft pick.
No, he needs him to hang that 30 up there in order for Jed. Like I said about Nathan's team, 91.3 points is probably going to get you knocked out of the playoffs in the first round.
And over to Roger's team, if John Brown would have done what he typically does, putting up between 8 to 15 points, we'd be talking about Jed winning this week. But John Brown went and put up 30 points for Roger. And I don't think that Roger would have started him if the bye weeks weren't what they were. I don't even
Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard. He has Austin Hooper that's injured. He has a couple of running backs out, so he may have been playing Tevin Coleman in a flex position. Instead, he had to start Tevin Coleman.
Yep.
So, Drew Brees with 21 points, John Brown with 30 points, San Francisco's defense with 16 points, and Dalvin Cook putting up 14 points, which is way less than he has been. But those guys kind of picked up the slack for Roger for some single-digit numbers from the rest of his team. But he won again, and you know what? He's not mathematically eliminated.
No, he's only one game out of 4th place now.
Yeah.
Which is
It is
crazy.
a long shot, but he's in it.
He'd have to win out. And you're doing that, Roger. We said you had to win out, and you're putting up a fight.
He is. I'm interested to see who he plays next week.
Now, if you win next week, then we'll pull that top layer of dirt off of your your grave, but there's a pretty good chance you're going to stay down there.
Yeah, you're probably going to stay buried.
All right. On to, this next game, it was at one point, it was like the bottom of the bottom. We wouldn't even put much time and thought into this game.
Bruce is still the bottom of the bottom.
Bruce is, but Jess, who we've buried multiple times, who we've talked shit on multiple times, is now tied for fourth place.
I can hear Michael saying now, I gave her a good draft grade. But, he was kind of right.
Yeah.
Because as far as the rest of the league goes, I mentioned this either last week or the week before, Jess's team is healthy, which can't be said for a lot of our teams.
Mm-hmm.
Jess's team is strong in almost every position.
And the fact that her starting kicker, well, that's not a big deal, but Derrick Henry, her starting running back, was on a bye week.
Yeah.
She had four people on bye this week and still put up 115 points. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. If she gets Derrick Henry back and slides Josh Jacobs back down into that flex position where she's had him, then I don't know. She's got... Allen Robinson has been putting up the least amount of points for her. You don't necessarily want to bench him because he's one of the feature receivers in that offense.
But Mitchell Trubisky's throwing to him, though. Like, I would...
I'm just saying there's worse options out there. And she does have Corey Davis. She has a few options on her bench. Emmanuel Sanders, who has kind of been battling injury. Mm-hmm. So she has some people that she could put in there. Because he put up 3.5 points this week. But like I said, as far as being the worst player on your team, Allen Robinson's not a bad selection because he could get 20 points any week. He might not. But he could just because that's who they're trying to go to. They just have to actually get there. And Kyler Murray, gosh, her rookies this year, Kyler Murray and Josh Jacobs, they're kind of leading her. How many games has she won in a row? I'm going to look this up. Hold on.
She has won 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
3-game win streak to pull her from the bottom of the bottom. She was almost in last place. And
the only person that has a longer win streak is you with the 7-game win streak, which is probably going to end next week.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
You can't beat me twice in one season. I won't allow it.
Well, I don't. Did I beat you already? It's forgettable.
It was my first loss, and then I lost, I think, the next week to Nathan. And then I was like, "Fuck this." Then I went on a streak. So, but yeah, Jess beat Bruce. Bruce, it's not a surprise that Bruce lost. Bruce put up over 100 points, but Jess just did better,
winning.
Yep, and that's good because she needed it, and it's keeping her in the hunt for that 4th spot.
5 and 6.
All right, let's go ahead and get to the last game, which is I'm let down by this game because if Brittany had done what she has the potential to do, you would have lost. Josiah beat Brittany 108.1 to 70.2. She had a bad week.
She did.
A very bad week.
Deshaun Watson only put up 4 points. Jordan Howard didn't play at all, and she didn't really have anybody to slide into that position with Chris Carson on a bye and Matt Breida also out. Mm-hmm. So she could have stuck.
Joe Mixon.
Possibly, yeah. She could have.
Because she flexed Joe Mixon, put him up in the running back spot, then picked,
Devonta Parker, she could have put in the flex. Yeah, so she still would have not been able to pull together enough points just because Deshaun Watson really let her down.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of sucks because she was one of the people we were talking about that was quietly making that playoff run. And now she's had 2 weeks in a row where she's had a lot of buys and at the worst time.
Yep.
So
those drafts come back to bite you in the ass if you don't pay attention to it. And a lot of people don't really put a lot of thought into the bye weeks whenever they're doing their waiver stuff, because if they pick up somebody or multiple people throughout the year that end up becoming starters, if you don't look at those bye weeks.
Bye weeks can hurt you, and I honestly don't pay attention to buys. If I can get a great player, so what if I lose because I'm going to win the rest of the weeks? But, I mean, we talked about Jed. He's in the same situation where Pat Mahomes is on a bye. His backup quarterback, Kirk Cousins, is also on a bye. And if he had been paying attention, I mean, he had to start Kirk Cousins when Mahomes was out. So it was the right play. But now if he was paying attention last week, he may have gotten a better pick.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's just something that you kind of have to run into when you're fighting for your playoff life.
Yep.
But I'm happy with what Derek Carr did. I picked him up off waivers. I had a rough week, but not a terrible week.
Your defense,
My defense
that has been carrying your team there, only gets you 3 points. Your kicker,
my kicker got 0.
0.
So I scored 108 points, which isn't awful. If I started the New Orleans defense, I'd have scored closer to 125. And if my kicker didn't score 0 points, then I'm up at 125, 130, like right where I want to be. So as far as the rest of my team goes, I'm happy with that. I just can't. If my team performs like this, I can't afford to have a 0 from my kicker.
Yeah.
And it's not something you generally think about, but this would have lost me a game against Michael, who put up, I think, 111 points this week or somewhere similar to that. But that would have been the difference, the 0 from my kicker.
Yep. Yeah, it could have. There's a few teams you would have lost to because of that.
Yeah.
You'd have lost to Josh because he put up 110. You'd have lost by 0.8 points to Roger.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And that would have been on my defense, too. I picked the wrong
Yep.
defense to play.
So, but the Steelers' defense against the Browns, you wouldn't have thought that.
I had a feeling, but I
mean, it's short week.
I had
Divisional game.
I had a bad feeling about it, and I almost played the Saints defense, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do going forward. Honestly, I'm going to try to keep playing the matchups, but the Saints defense is more consistent. I guess I could say so. I almost would rather get a guaranteed 8 to 10 points from the Saints than 3 points or 20 points.
Yeah.
Where I don't know. That's just the way I think, because the rest of my team performed just great. So if I get 8 points, like you said, I would beat almost everybody except for, I think, you. And if I had a kicker, then I would have beat you.
Yep.
And that's what I'm concerned about right now, because I know I'm nitpicking at my team, but you're the number one team. And I mean, we talked about Jed putting up 140 points. He's right there in the tied for fourth place. So in order to win in the playoffs, I can't score 108 points.
Yep. That's what gives me hope about my team, is that the past few weeks I've been putting up between 120
They're going to let you down.
and 150 points. I mean,
They're going to let you down.
I've been a fan of the Cowboys for
Yes.
my entire life. Like, if we make the playoffs, we lose.
It's over.
So, and it's the same story of fantasy for me. I always make the first round of the playoffs. I always lose. I think there was only 1 year where I didn't make the playoffs, and
That was last year.
No, I made it last year and I lost to Jed. It was the year before.
Oh, you completely
and then
tanked
I
out. And
completely
lost
tanked
0.
out because I was like 3 and whatever. I was like Bruce right now, and I was just like whatever.
Yeah, I bet the people that are listening that are not in the league think we're pretty self-centered to have a podcast about our own league that we are in first and second. But if we had a podcast about this last year or the year before,
It would have been
we were dead last and second to last.
Yep.
So how the turntables.
Yep. It's because we're doing this podcast, and it's because we're doing the podcast and we're paying more and closer attention to
Yeah.
the league.
And for those that are listening to us, I think Rob Gronkowski said he's coming back next week, so go ahead and pick him up. Colin Kaepernick had a great workout from what I hear.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Great workout.
Fantastic.
He's out there
workout,
on your
yeah.
waiver wire.
Jerry Jones said so.
Yeah.
Actually, he said the exact opposite. But
Yee.
all right, winners and losers of the week. I've got 2 of each.
Ooh.
So
Go ahead.
Okay. My 2 winners of the week are Jess and Josh, because they both, with their wins, kept themselves tied for that 4th place spot, and both have a chance to make the playoffs. And
it's not a long shot either.
no,
It's because before we were talking about Jed has such a lead in points that there's no way. But Josh is down
He's only down 12 points from Jed.
12. And
Now-
then Jess is down
I mean, everybody else is at least
70, 60, 65-ish. I'm just doing math in my head, which is bad.
from Jed.
Yeah.
She's down 104.
Oh, there is an addition. No, she's not.
1182 to 1293.
No, you're looking at the wrong
Oh,
team.
I'm looking at the wrong ones. Crap. Sorry. Point. Okay. I'm looking at the points against. Okay, so Josh is actually down,
He's down about 30.
28, 27 points.
Jess is down about 60.
Yeah.
Which, over the course of 2 weeks, is not that much.
Michael, the thing that hurts Michael the most is that he's down over 100 points, 111 points away from Jed. So he's got to win out.
He needs Jed to lose, and he needs to take care of the last 2 games of the week. And if any of these teams take care of those last 2 weeks, they're probably in, because some of them play each other.
Yeah.
Who's your loser?
My two losers are Jed and Michael
Yeah.
for the exact opposite reason that Jess and Josh are my winners, is because Jed and Michael were both tied going into this week. They both they're tied for fourth place for that playoff spot. They both needed to win to get a game up, but since they lost, they allowed Josh and Jess to move in and potentially take that spot. So, and the fact that Jed's up in points, but he's scoring so few, and Josh is scoring so many that he's inching closer because he's outscoring Jed every week. And if Jed loses, Josh is winning. And now, if Josh wins and Jed loses, he's a game up. And he's also getting the points there too. So
My winner for the week is Jess, because she's on a 3-game win streak. And if she wins out the last 2 games, like I said, probably in, because she has the points and she would have the victories. I mean, it would come down to just a few points in between if someone else wins out. But if Jess wins out, and it's possible, I think she's in. My loser of the week is going to be Brittany, because she needed to win this week. She's not mathematically eliminated, but with Deshaun Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster, and Juju might not even play next week, and just how they kind of performed and laid an egg when she needed them to win, she's all but eliminated. And it kind of sucks because I love Brittany, and she did a lot of work on her team this year, and
these past couple of weeks with those buys
they've been really
hurt her
hard.
Like, really.
And she's had some bad luck here and there. Just like, who could have predicted Roethlisberger going out for the whole year?
Yeah.
That's a difference in 10 points a game for Juju Smith-Schuster, which, I mean, she's down about 100 points from Jed in week 8. It's conceivable that if Juju Smith-Schuster has 10 points a game, then she might have an extra win, and she might have the points over. So that really sucks for her that happened. And, I mean, Deshaun Watson, that's her guy. That's her Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
Because she picked him really high, right behind where Jed picked Pat Mahomes. And so, I mean, he might not score 4 points every week, but that's definitely a concern.
It's not going to help.
It lost her this week.
Yeah.
So
it definitely did.
That's my loser of the week, and you hate to see it.
Yeah, hate to see it.
Hate to see it. You want to talk about some playoff / standings projections?
Yes. Let's do it.
Go for it.
So right now, there is no tie at the top in the top 3. Nobody is tied,
Nice.
which is awesome. Finally, for the first time in a while, I'm sitting at number 1 at 9-2. Nathan, because of divisions, 7-4, is in second place.
Weird.
And Josiah,
At number 3?
number 3, at 8-3. And then we get into the interesting part.
Interesting. If the season ended right now, Jed is the 4th seed in the playoffs, and he'd be facing you in week 1. Exactly what you don't want.
Because the last 2 years, he's knocked me out of the playoffs. So
Josh is number 5.
Josh would be right behind Jed.
By about 28 points, 30 points.
Mm-hmm. And then Jess is right behind Josh. And Jess is only, like I said, 60 points away from Jed. So it's not unlikely if Jed
It'd be difficult, especially if Jed puts up one of his 140-point weeks.
I don't think with all of his buys he's going to do that this week.
Correct.
But
if she
chance.
She scored 130 points, 140 points a few times, so she could do the same thing in the next week, be either just a couple points down or potentially even ahead if she wins.
Then we've got Michael at the bottom of
the tie.
And it's
his quarterback situation is killing him. And like I said about Juju Smith-Schuster for Brittany, if Michael had 10 more points out of his quarterback position all season long, he's not in the position he's in.
Yep.
He's 4th place going into the playoffs, and you hate to see it.
It's on a 3-game lose streak.
Yikes.
And it's just sad. It's just
Roger's number 8.
Roger's inching his way closer. He's at 4-7. He won 4 games. Like, that to me is a surprise.
It's a miracle.
He's up on Brittany now.
Yeah, he passed her in points.
And if the season were 30 weeks long, he might inch up to about 6th place, 7th place, maybe.
He would.
But
Poor Roger. We're probably going to have an end of season awards show, and he's going to be. He might possibly win worst draft, but best manager. I don't know, because he's most improved throughout the season. If he had kept his team as it was before waivers and trades and everything that he's done, he might not have won a game. But he's clawed his way to 4 victories, which, I mean, he might want to do more research going into next season's draft.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he can't predict all the injuries that he had, but he started off on the wrong foot, and he's not been able to... It's potential. It's conceivable that Roger could recover and make the playoffs.
He'd have to win out.
But it's a long shot.
He'd have to put up 150, 170 points, win out, and...
But there's a chance,
There is a chance. There is still a chance.
And then Brittany and Bruce. Brittany's
4-7.
I love you.
So there's still a chance, but, you know.
Bruce, you're just... Beat Bruce, Brittany. That's all. Just stay ahead of Bruce.
So we actually... this week's the first week that somebody's technically mathematically eliminated from the playoffs because of matchups next week.
Yeah.
A couple of the 5 and 6 teams have to play each other. So somebody's going to win. There's only 2 weeks left. Bruce is 3-8. Even if he wins out, he's going to be 5-8. One of those 2 teams, even if the rest of them lose for the rest of the season, one of those teams has to win.
Even if they tie, they will have less losses.
Yeah.
And so Bruce is mathematically eliminated. We buried him already.
So we're going to bury him.
We're going to set
again.
the grave on fire.
Yes.
And cremate him.
Yes.
He's officially out. Bruce, don't drop all your players. Don't be that guy.
He won't. He probably isn't. Well, no, he has been paying attention to his team.
You will be
He's been setting his
permabanned.
lineup.
Permabanned if you drop all your players.
Yeah, please don't make us go get Lyndon again.
Oh, gosh.
Talk about, and like, it's not just like we love Lyndon, but Lyndon
He's
is
a curse, worse than Roger.
No matter the number 1 pick in the draft that he gets always goes out for the rest of the year. Doesn't matter who it is.
Always happens. And so, Bruce, you're buried, but I don't know where I was going to go from there.
Get an iPhone?
Yeah, probably.
He's probably not listening to this because, Androids.
Maybe he's sitting next to someone that's listening to it.
Maybe. He's got to be. He's like, hey, Michael, can you call me and then play the podcast so I can listen to it over your phone?
Yeah.
So if he even knows how to call somebody.
Call me on my house.
My house phone.
Yeah. I have a cordless.
Gotta love the cordless house phones.
Yeah.
All right. So, hasn't really been a lot of smack talk or anything like that.
No, I think everyone's kind of busy for one and kind of getting serious. And there was a lot of talk about Mason Rudolph and
Yeah, there's a lot
Myles
of
Garrett.
talk about that.
So that a lot of cat memes, a lot of
A lot of memes in general.
Did you see where they indicted 2 prison guards for the murder
Yeah.
of Jeffrey Epstein?
I saw that.
It's a shame because I heard that they killed themselves tomorrow.
Yeah. So sad to hear. Rest in peace.
Gosh,
Thanks,
that whole
Hillary.
situation. But we're not going to get into that.
No,
That's not what this
isn't-
podcast is about.
It's not a political podcast yet.
So
kidding.
we were talking on Sunday, and we said, what Disney movie are we going to do next? And we couldn't come up with a Disney movie, so we came up with Coke.
Not
That's-
cocaine.
Not cocaine, even though that's probably going to be used. Coke flavors,
Yes, Coca-Cola.
superlatives for people in this league. Michael is Coke. He's old,
Classic.
reliable, classic. It goes great with just about every meal. Coke's perfect. Coke is probably my favorite cola.
I hate Coke.
You hate Coke?
I don't like any just regular soda. Like
Really?
Pepsi, Coke, or whatever the generic off brands are. I'm just not a fan of them.
I don't. Well, that
They're just
makes sense
way
because you
too
kind of hate
like
Michael.
sweet.
Oh,
Which is not the case with Michael.
that's why I like Coke more than because it's not as sweet. That's
not as
why I
sweet as
prefer
Pepsi.
Coke.
Yeah.
I made Roger Coke Zero, not only because that's his favorite, but because he has all the same great taste as Michael, but has 0 friends to show for it. So
Zero personality.
poor Roger.
You're just lacking in a lot of different areas, Roger.
You are indeed. And that's why I made Jed Diet Coke Zero with no caffeine, because he has absolutely 0 to offer the table. He's just not even sugar water. It's just carbonated. He's basically
He's
Fresca.
fucking useless,
He's
essentially.
a non-alcoholic White Claw. It's just absolutely pathetic. Brittany, who we forgot last week, is Vanilla Coke, because Vanilla Coke is the best Coke by far. Brittany, I'm sorry we left you out last week, but if you think about it, you don't really fit in the Scooby-Doo world because we're all whack. Yeah.
She's the only one out of all 10 of us that are actually like somewhat together and composed and
I agree.
contained. So
Brittany, you're the best. Jess. What did I make Jess? I think she's Cherry Coke.
she'd be any of the Cokes as long as they came in the little 8-ounce
Oh,
cans.
yeah, indeed. I see.
Wouldn't matter what flavor, just the 8-ounce cans.
Short and thick.
Yeah.
There you go. Who am I forgetting? Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan is... What would Nathan be? He's Jack and Coke.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely Jack and Coke.
Jack and Coke. There
Yep.
you go. I joke that you are cocaine, but
I'm not that off the wall.
you're not that
I'm too
awful.
depressing to be cocaine.
That's actually true. You are orange vanilla Coke.
That stuff was terrible.
Exactly.
Great. I mean, yeah, it fits. It fits pretty well.
Because you take the perfect vanilla Coke and then you just put some Sunny Delight in it. And it's just,
I love Sunny D.
yeah, but not in vanilla
Not
Coke.
vanilla Coke, no.
And Bruce, your Pepsi. Get an iPhone. You suck.
And Josh.
Josh, I forgot about Josh.
Now this is Michael came up with this one.
Yeah.
Josh is like you're at a fast food restaurant. You
Yeah.
gotta go and get your Coca-Cola yourself, and you push the button.
In the fountain.
Yeah, on the fountain. You push the button, and it comes out, and it's like carbonated water that is just has like the hint of brown
Just
in
a
it.
little bit. It just splatters all over everything.
Yeah, and it just sprays everywhere, and you're just so disappointed and let down. That's Josh.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Foam.
Foam. and
Josh is the
sadness.
foam that you like to scrape off the top.
You forgot yourself.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to make myself. I might be a Coke float. I might be... What
Your
would you?
Diet Coke.
Would I be? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
drink
what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah. I don't really drink Diet Coke because
It's refreshing.
Artificial sweeteners give me a headache.
They cause short-term memory loss.
I have a lot of that already.
See, your Diet Coke.
So there you go. Kenyon Drake was that guy's name. Kenyon Drake.
Yep, there we go. Finally remembered it now. So there we have our fantasy football league.
Superlatives.
If we were Coca-Cola products.
If you want to hear something next week, just suggest it, and we'll shoot you down and come up with our own idea.
Yeah, please.
But
all right, I guess we'll go and get on to the next week's matchups. Make this a short episode. I was busy all morning, so I didn't have a chance to like come up with my stuff that I typically do, so I apologize.
Basically sucks anyway, so it's fine.
That's fine. At least there's more talking though. Last week we went a lot longer because it took us forever to get here, and we wanted to make it worth our while.
It was fun.
It was fun.
That might be our best show.
It was.
Even though everyone made fun of it.
Yeah.
You can all suck it.
Maybe next week I'll bring a fucking sub and eat it.
Eat it. And that's it. And
I won't even talk. I'll just sit across the room and eat my sub while Josiah talks, and you'll get to hear the entire thing.
Well, if anybody else wants to come on the show and make it more entertaining, we invite you every week.
Yep, and nobody comes. Thanks, guys.
Story of your sex life.
This is why nobody else is winning in the league.
Yeah, 1 and 2 right here. What is up? Speaking of matchups.
We'll start at the top because this is me and you head to head. Unsolicited DAC picks versus Hover Round Genocide in a battle that wouldn't really matter unless you way outscore me in points and win, because I'm ahead of you in points.
By how many?
I'm pulling that up now, actually. Pause. Stupid ads.
I've had to sneeze this whole podcast.
Go ahead and sneeze. We'll give a sneeze warning.
It's not here yet. I've just been waiting. It's not happening.
I am up by 49.9 points.
Okay.
It's not unrealistic that my team could shit the bed this week and you score 45 to 50 points more than me, but
I would have to outscore you over the period of 2 weeks.
Yeah. But if you outscored me by 50 points this week and won, then we'd be tied and you'd be back in first place.
So, I mean, I'd like to be in first place. I also don't want to face whoever's on a hot streak in that fourth place position.
Yeah, it's true.
So
I would much rather face Nathan. I might just lose that on purpose.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe in that, because I looked at it and I thought, I think I faced Jess in the final week. I was like, what if I lose and let her win? And I was like, nope, because then she's going to beat me in the playoffs. Yep. I will not tank 100%.
Can't do it.
All right, so we have Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson, battle of the NFL MVP candidates. Mm-hmm. We have Alvin Kamara versus Christian McCaffrey, who was the battle of who you're going to take second overall.
Yep.
I took Kamara third. Chubb versus Lindsey. I think I got you there.
Yeah, you do. I mean, Marlon Mack going out. I mean, it didn't really hurt me because Philip Lindsay, like, on a week that Matt gets me 8 points, Philip Lindsay gives me 16 on my bench. Yeah. So it's a back and forth. Lindsay's playing Buffalo. Chubb's playing Miami. So Chubb's going to beat Lindsay in points. It's going to happen unless something crazy happens. But yeah.
Cameron Sutton versus DJ
Cortland
Chark.
Sutton. You do that every week. Cortland.
Dang it. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm sorry. I think that's basically a toss-up. Just
it could be, yeah. Because, I mean, you know, Sutton could go off against Buffalo's defense, but they're a tough defense. Tennessee also has kind of a up and down type of defense. So
that's a whoever gets the touchdown gets that advantage. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Hopkins versus Amari Cooper, two of the best receivers in the league. But Amari Cooper is going against the Patriots. Mm-hmm. So
he's also been banged up, and he only got me about 5 points last week.
That's what I was going to mention is Hopkins has not been what he has been in years past, and that's one of the reasons why Michael traded him to me is because he's putting up 5 points a week, if that. Since I've got him in the trade, he's putting up 10, 12, 15 points, which still isn't what it could be.
Isn't what you would expect from him anyway.
But that's exactly what I need. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I mentioned it before, is how bad my receiver position was before. Mm-hmm. Plus 10 points in that column. I think I don't know. Hopkins versus Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, yeah.
Yeah, that's still a tough matchup, but I think he might edge out Amari Cooper just a wee bit. Over
Now, my
New England.
thing is like with New England, like, yeah, Amari Cooper's banged up, New England's defense, but New England also has to account for Randall Cobb and Michael
true.
Gallup, who have both over the past few weeks put up over 100 yards and at least a touchdown.
Especially how
So,
bad Houston did last week.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch for the Colts to absolutely stomp, but the Houston team. I almost said the Houston Rockets. Gosh, we need to end this show. But if that is the
we've only
case,
got 3 or 4 more weeks. Don't worry.
if they are down by a lot, then they're probably going to have to throw a lot, and hopefully Hopkins benefits from that. But that's kind of another toss-up where they're both elite receivers. Zach Ertz versus Mark Andrews. I think you have me beat there, especially with your Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews connection. And
But the thing with that connection is that there's some weeks where Mark Andrews will get 2-3 touchdowns. Some weeks where he'll get 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because they're such a tight end dependent offense too, to help the run. So
yeah,
depending on what the Rams defense throws at Baltimore, he could get me 30 points. He could get me 5. So it's really hard to tell.
I haven't decided on my defense yet. I've got the Steelers versus Cincinnati. I've got
The Saints versus
Saints
Carolina.
versus Carolina. I'm probably going to start the Steelers against Cincinnati.
I think I'm going to stick with the Cowboys versus New England because
New England's offense has not been doing great.
Yeah. They don't really have a great run game, and that's what's been really hurting Dallas is a run game and mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And you got Tom Brady back there. He runs out like that, he's going to get drilled before he can even slide. But it's still kind of worrisome because it is, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and they're going to find a way with Edelman. But my other defense, the Vikings, are on a bye, so
Kind of stuck.
yeah.
And hopefully my kicker doesn't lay an egg again this week, which
maybe not.
is,
Brett Maher might be the highest scorer on my team this week against New England.
oh, yeah.
He might be kicking 4 or 5 50-plus yard field goals.
He might be kicking a lot of safeties, punts,
Yeah.
Who knows? We kind of broke that game down a little bit more, but that's just because we both care about this game way more than we care about your games. If you want to emphasize your game, come on the show.
Yeah. Right now it's projected to Josiah to beat me by 3 points.
117.5 to 114.8.
And I've been
we're the highest 2 projected teams in the league.
I've been outdoing my projections every week by at least 10 points.
I was right until the last 2 weeks. And like I said, I don't want to do that down the playoff stretch.
Yeah. It's better to get it out of the way before the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I want my
Much
team
better.
to come together and just come all over you full force.
All right. Let's go on to the next matchup.
Yes.
We've got Bald Bear Fighter, 5-6, versus the Wrath of Quan, Nathan, sitting at 7-4.
As mentioned before, Jed has Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, his first and second pick on a bye.
What's really scary about Jed's team, not only does he have Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Kenyon Drake, Christian Kirk, Kirk Cousins, Damian Williams, all on a bye week. Mohamed Sanu is questionable. Tyler Lockett got hurt this past week as well.
Vance McDonald's always questionable.
He's not this week, but he's just a questionable player.
Give him five plays. He'll hurt his shoulder again.
So not only does Jed have to watch out for the buys, he's got to find a quarterback. He's got a wide receiver and two wide receivers that are both questionable. So if something happens, I'm going to be watching the waiver wires to see if he has to drop some people.
Oh, yeah. I am too.
I mean, he's got some players that if he has to drop them.
If he has to drop, he has a couple players. I'm not going to mention them.
No, yeah, me neither.
But if he has to drop a player, they might be a good scoop because I have spots on my bench.
Mm-hmm. I do as well.
Yeah. And
especially with my running back situation.
I don't want to sound like a jerk, but also I might scoop a player just so you can't get him because I don't want you to have him for the playoffs. So that's,
I mean, being last in the waiver order, I kind of assumed that's what was going to happen this
Yeah.
week. Like everybody knows that I need a running back, so it's like,
everyone's going to get a running back.
yeah.
But it's
So
that I feel like that's not, it's kind of a dick move, but it's also strategy where.
but it's also not smart for everybody else if they need other people, if they're picking up running
I mean,
backs.
if you need a running back,
Yeah.
or like Nathan had Rob Gronkowski on his bench,
Yeah.
and he picked up, who did he pick up? He picked up a decent player. I forget who it was. But if you have someone like that on your bench or someone who just recently got injured and might not be back before the end of the season, then yeah, you can look and see, especially if you're Nathan, me, or you, we're in the playoffs. If you're Jed, Michael, Jess, or Josh, maybe pick that player up just so the other team can't have them
Yeah.
and potentially beat you. So, I mean, that's kind of the Bill Belichick way of doing things.
Yeah.
Just the sneaky, underhanded. I'm going to stash this guy on my bench even though I don't need him.
so nobody else can have him.
Yeah.
So Nathan's got Josh Allen at Denver, which
It
that could
depends on
really
the
go.
week.
Yeah,
It depends on the
it
week.
could go either way. Saquon Barkley's questionable. He just got back from a bye week. I'm assuming he's going to play against
Versus Chicago. That's a
gonna
rough run defense.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Devin Singletary against Denver, which also tough.
Mike Evans versus the newfound best defense in the NFL,
Yeah,
the Atlanta Falcons.
He might lay an egg again this week.
The Falcons just absolutely turned it on. Like
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
they just got good.
Well, I think Dan Quinn, I think he might have turned over the defensive play calling to somebody else because he's the head coach and was the defensive coordinator. He might have given that to somebody else.
I mean, if you
I think
two,
I heard that, but I'm not 100%
two
sure.
or three, was it 2 seasons ago? They were in the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
and then last
and their
week, last
defense is
year,
what let them down.
they didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Nope, they haven't
And-
made the playoffs since. I don't think
Well, there's only been one season. Two? Okay, but
Yeah.
whatever the
Eagles
case
won
is,
the Super Bowl,
they've had
then-
some
yeah.
injury issues, but they have also had. I know if you listen to any draft analyst, they always say, "Okay, the Steelers need this position, the Cowboys need a safety, whatever the case is." Then they get to the Falcons and they say, "We don't understand why this team is bad."
Yeah.
because they've got everything that they need, and just all of a sudden they put it together and they beat the Saints. And who did they beat last week? They beat the crap out of somebody last week,
shit.
whoever it was.
Yeah, I forget.
But they're good now, and I mean, I know that's off on a little bit of a tangent. Mike Evans is still probably going to put up points.
Yeah,
Greg Olsen, who knows? Kenny Galladay with Jeff Driscoll, Heisman candidate. What the heck? Man, he looked good.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're playing against the Dallas defense. You know, you could make. You could.
I
just-
don't
yeah.
care. He's trying to make himself some money.
Oh yeah,
Odell Beckham Jr. looks like he's starting him against Miami.
probably a smart play. I mean, you know, Miami's. I mean, you saw what Josh Allen did against Miami last week.
That's true.
You know, and what John Brown did against them. So there's a good chance that Odell Beckham could have a 40-point game, and it might be, you know, the best trade of the year for Nathan
He had a
if
great
he starts balling out.
catch against the Steelers last week. It was blown coverage by them, but I mean, he still caught it,
Yeah.
and I think he went down at the 1 yard line.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he was just an inch away from getting a 50-yard touchdown catch. Okay, next game.
All right.
I'm picking Nathan to win that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm picking me to win my game.
If Jed didn't have all those bye weeks, I'd pick Jed probably, but there's no way that with Jed's bye week woes and having to start all of his backups, that I don't think that there's a chance that he can win it. All right, next week. This is the game of the week right here.
Big game.
We've got the chosen one, Michael, sitting at 5-6 at the bottom of the fourth place tie, playing Jess.
Who's one slot ahead of him. The winner. So it's guaranteed, unless they tie, that someone is coming out of here with 6 wins and at least tied with either Jed or Josh. So going into the final week, they would have to win again, of course,
Yeah.
and there might be points tiebreakers. But one of these teams is guaranteed to be playing basically a play-in game next week.
Yeah.
So that's why this game is so big. And right away, I see Jess, her quarterback is on a bye, Kyler Murray, and Matt Stafford has a broken back. So
Oh yeah, she doesn't have any quarterbacks.
is
So
Matt
she's-
Stafford going to play? She has two good
I don't
quarterbacks.
I don't think
And
right now he's still out.
So that's something she's going to need to address.
I don't think that with the record that the Lions have, that they would risk furthering his injuries
Yeah.
just to play a few
No,
more games.
I agree. But if there's any team to have quarterback troubles against, it's Michael's team, who's starting Jacoby Brissett right now. If he plays, I don't know what his injury report
No,
is.
he's healthy.
He is? Okay.
Yep.
So he's back, but he's still probably not great. We saw what Pat Mahomes did coming off of his
Yeah.
ankle injury. So Jess I scooped a guy off waiver wires last week and got 20 points out of him. Play your matchups, and you might be able to find a decent quarterback. Elliott versus New England is not
Gonna be
great for
tough.
Michael.
No, it's going to be really tight, especially since Dallas hasn't been running the ball very well.
Yeah. They've been getting like 5 yards a carry. They just haven't been running the ball.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, whenever Dak Prescott's thrown for 450 yards, you
It's
don't
true.
really, you know, so which is good for Dallas. He's got Kareem Hunt versus Miami, which could potentially be pretty. He's probably gonna do better than Elliott, even with Chubb.
He
I
might
mean,
do
you know,
better than Chubb next week because
They might just pull Baker out and let Kareem Hunt and Chubb sit back there.
that's true.
Just a 1-2 punch.
But Chubb has been getting 25, 30 carries a week all season. And if this game is not close, I can see them giving Kareem Hunt more carries just to. I mean, the Browns, with their win against the Steelers, are kind of looking at a wild card spot. And they don't want Chubb to be hurt.
They also have like one of the easiest schedules from here on out.
So that's something that concerns me is them working Kareem Hunt in more and more, especially if this game is 21 points difference. Now the Dolphins have been doing better, but I don't know. That will be interesting to see.
Cooper Kupp versus Baltimore. Like Cooper Kupp, the past 2 weeks, he's gotten a total of 5 points.
Yeah,
He scored 0 points
versus the Steelers.
versus the Steelers and 6.8 points. So that's a tough matchup because I mean you saw what Baltimore did to Houston,
Yeah,
and I mean Cooper Kupp could, you know, he might have a few catches, but
now he might go off, but that's another thing that Michael doesn't have any options. He has
Michael Gallup though versus New England with
that might be good.
with Cobb in the slot and Cooper as the number one wide receiver there, that's going to leave whatever's, you know, if they're playing man or whatever, that'll ease up on Michael Gallup a little bit, but it's still against New England. So he could either, he might go off. He might have another 140-yard game and a couple touchdowns, or he could, you know, it's really hard to tell against New England.
But going up against Josh Jacobs, Le'Veon Bell, Michael Thomas, and Allen Robinson, who all have somewhat favorable matchups, that doesn't look good for Michael. Now, Giovanni Kittle's supposed to be back next week, and Jess has Hunter Henry on a bye. So she hasn't set her team yet. I see Tyler Eifert's down there.
Yeah, against Pittsburgh, it's not good. Tyler Eifert versus Pittsburgh.
I don't know. Tight ends have historically done work against the Steelers. Now, that was before
But
Minka
with-
Fitzpatrick, or they've had Cameron Sutton, actual Cameron Sutton, covering the tight end position a lot.
I don't remember the guy's name that's starting for Cincinnati now, the quarterback,
Ryan Finley.
the Finley. Yeah,
But-
I don't expect Tyler Eifert to do much.
I imagine she might start Derrick Henry off her bench versus
Probably.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Definitely Mason Crosby, who, because the kicker she's starting now is on a bye.
Yep. So, I mean, this could go depending on who she gets at quarterback. Honestly, I think that might be the deciding factor in this
How do you think New England's defense is going to do
versus Dallas.
versus Dallas? And how do you think A.J. Green is going to play versus the Steelers, he's projected 7.7 points if he plays.
I don't think A.J. Green's going to play.
I mean, as of right now, Michael has him started in his flex position. Now, Darius Geis, a clutch pickup for him, might be the play, but he's going against a stiff Detroit defense, and Noah Fant is going against a good Buffalo defense. I think he has an empty roster position, so he might be doing some waiver wire work.
You know he's doing waivers. Dude, he does waivers when nobody else does. He's over double what the highest waiver claim is.
As of now, he has A.J. Green starting, who, I mean, potentially one of the top 5 receivers in the league with fresh legs. He could come out and go nuts, but I don't see it.
I don't see him starting this year just because of the fact the Bengals are, 0-10?
Yeah, but he's also in a contract year. He might want to come out for a couple games and just say, "You remember me," and then get a big deal next year.
I don't know if he wants to play for Cincinnati next year.
That's what I mean, is he's auditioning for another team by saying, "Look, Ryan Finley's throwing me the ball. I just caught 10 passes."
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen? I mean, he could do that and run the risk of getting hurt, or he can sit on the bench the rest of the year and know for a fact that Bill Belichick's going to be calling him in the offseason.
That's what I mean. It's kind of up to him if he thinks he has something to prove, but I don't think he does.
No, I think there's going to be plenty of teams that would be willing to get him.
Now, he might make himself a few $1 million extra if he comes and balls out.
Yeah.
But he's going to be one of the top paid receivers in the league no matter what, and I don't know if he would risk that.
Yeah.
I'm picking Michael to win this game as is, but Jess has some waiver wire work to do, and if she makes the right plays, I think she wins. She just needs to pick the right quarterback off waivers. She needs to assess her tight end situation, and then kind of pick. She has 4 good running backs, and she could probably start 3 of them and pick just which 3 she thinks is going to do the best.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think she beats Michael, even though Michael's team did well last week. He was just a quarterback away from beating you. I don't know if he has his quarterback back now. I still think Jess is going to win.
I don't know. I think it really just depends on who Jess gets at quarterback, because there's not a lot out in the waivers. And if I had to guess, she's going to pick up Mayfield just because of the matchup.
I think this week, more than any other week in the season, is you could get someone great off the waiver wires because there's so many injuries in the NFL right now. If you do your research, Jeff Driscoll, for example.
He put up over 20 fantasy points.
She has Matt Stafford on her bench, and Jeff Driscoll did really well. There's 15 running backs in the NFL that are hurt. The Steelers are signing people off the street to play receiver because they have Juju and Deontay Johnson both out with concussions, and they just cut Moncrief because he had a broken finger and he couldn't catch a ball. So they're struggling. So if you look around, this might be the week where you can kind of pick someone up that will do really well for the rest of the season going into the playoffs.
I'm going to take Michael in it, but it's going to be a close one.
I'm taking Jess because I think that she will make the right decision for quarterback.
You mean Jed's going to make the right decision?
No, Jess is doing this all by herself.
Bullshit.
Okay.
I call bullshit. All right, on to the next one. We've got what should be an easy win for Josh.
Should
be. Holy shit. Well, never mind. He's still on. He moved Duke Johnson down to his flex, which is not good. Josh.
David Johnson.
Duke Johnson.
David Johnson.
Duke Johnson. Houston. Oh, wait. No, David Johnson on a bye. Okay, never mind. He's also got Duke Johnson there.
Oh,
sorry.
See, a lot of D. Johnsons there. Big D. Johnson.
Yeah. So good thing that David Johnson's on a bye week, because there's at least another 5 points for Josh from somebody.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs, though, on a bye. Not great for him.
That doesn't matter. He doesn't start him anyway.
That's true. Big facts.
Aaron Rodgers versus San Francisco. Oof. Mark Ingram versus the Rams could be pretty big.
Indeed.
Todd Gurley versus Baltimore. Also, with what the Rams have been doing, they've been leaning on Todd Gurley a lot more.
That's true.
So he could have another 15, 20-point game.
And Godwin versus greatest defense of all time, Atlanta Falcons.
It's hard to tell there. That's a tough one.
He's got DJ Moore versus the Saints, who have a great defense. He's going to need a big game from Waller. He's going to need Matt Prater to score him 54 points.
Ravens defense versus the Rams, though, could do some work, though.
True.
Because Jared Goff sucks. And
he's not been good.
No. And I think Todd Gurley even fumbled last week, too. So, I mean, I think the Ravens have a defensive touchdown this week, honestly. I think the defense for Josh will get him 16 to 18 points. I don't like the matchup for Rodgers.
Don't think he's going to beat Bruce, though. Bruce has got Prescott, Fournette, David Montgomery, Devonta Adams, Julio Jones, Gerald Giovanni Everett, and then
Jamison Crowder.
Jamison Crowder.
The Jets defense versus Oakland is a spoof.
He's projected to beat Josh by just over 5 points, and I think the projections are right. I think Josh is going to have he won last week, but I think he's going to have a letdown game. And that would put the winner of Jess and Michael solely in the fourth place position if Jed and Josh, who Jed is having a rough week as well, they both lose.
Yeah.
So that might be really bad, but also really good for Brittany and Roger, who are there with 4 wins. So, I mean, it's I don't think that they can get in because one of those teams is going to have 6 wins.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if they can get in.
It's all based on points.
They would have to win. Whoever wins between Jess and Michael would have to lose. And then it's a slim chance, but it's possible. And I mean, if they're looking in, they need both Josh and Jed to lose because Jess or Michael is going to win.
Yeah. I think based on matchups, I think that Bruce will probably squeeze by.
I think so as well.
Aaron Rodgers has just been a fantasy letdown this year. I mean,
has been actually the last couple of years with injuries and other things.
He's had a couple good games. He's only had 3 games over 20 points. The one big game versus Oakland, 43 points.
But they've been leaning on Aaron Jones a lot more, who's been a pleasant surprise for them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Rodgers gets 10 to 12 points, and I think Prescott might get his 16-point projection against New England, but I think Bruce squeezes out a win. I do.
Squeezes.
Squirts out.
Do we have any other games left?
Yeah, we've got one more game.
Ooh.
And it's the battle of the bottom. That 4 and 7
I'm picking
spot.
Brittany's bottom. Or maybe Roger's bottom. I don't know.
So Roger has LaShawn McCoy on a bye and Harrison Butker on a bye. And
his best
Dalvin
player.
Cook on a bye. I'm confused as to why. Okay. So I'm assuming that Rodgers dropping LaShawn McCoy based on the fact that he took Dalvin Cook out, put LaShawn McCoy in that spot, and he's waiting for waivers. So, yeah, he's got a few people on
Am
the
I
bye.
the only one that pays attention to what people are setting their lineups as to maybe they tip their hand as who they're trying to pick up off waivers?
Typically.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I always love when Nathan drops a player, and I'm like, oh, he probably needs that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I scoop it. But
Well,
that's
now they know.
I know.
I never drop a player before I pick somebody else up.
Zero chance.
I always swap them just because,
Especially because you're the last guy on the waiver.
Yeah, I can't afford
If you were to drop a player right now, I would go pick out the top guy in that position, guaranteed.
This week is the most obvious of needs for my team. So,
Yes.
But Deshaun Watson versus Indianapolis. Brittany, she's got Chris Carson versus Philly, which could potentially be pretty big for her. James White versus Dallas. Dallas, they just let people run all over him. Terry McLaurin, which, Terry McLaurin's great, but Dwayne...
He's been doing well. He's been doing well for a rookie.
Yeah.
And facing that Detroit defense.
That's going to be tough. Like, he might not get many points.
It depends on if they put Slay on him or not. I don't.
Who else is a threat out there?
That's the point.
Slay could just jog behind him the whole day.
Yeah,
and,
and if Slay is on McLaurin, then it's over for him.
Yep.
He all but shut down. Amari Cooper had that insane catch, and Slay picked him up and shook his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that last week?
Yeah, that was this past week.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he was just blown away by the fact that Amari caught it because it went right through Slay's hands, right through it. So
he played that perfect. He should have intercepted it.
Yeah, he should have. If he would have closed his hands, it would have been done.
But he held Amari Cooper to 3 catches for.
Yeah, he had like 2 or 3 catches for not even
30 yards ish.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I have so little interest in this game.
This game
Because, like, as of right now, it really just depends. Like, I mean, it depends on who Roger picks up off of waivers.
It's true. And I know Roger has been talking about the consolation bracket. And in order to be eligible to win the consolation bracket, you cannot be in 9th or 10th place.
Yeah.
Because
you have to be
highest you can get from 9th or 10th place is 7th. And the consolation winner would be 5th-ish.
It would be the winner of whoever's in 4th or
this-
5th and 6th place.
Yeah, 5th and 6th place versus 7th and 8th place. So this game might have ramifications for next year, who's picking 1st overall, but that's really it. And, I mean, that can be a big deal. I mean, are you taking Christian McCaffrey 1st overall next year? If you want him, you have to win this game.
Yeah, he's got to. He might have to win out to get to win that.
Well,
right to get in.
Either of them will. In the position they're in right now.
Yeah.
So that's the winner of this game will be in 8th place, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because Bruce is below them, and then there's
the winner of this
Roger
one will
and
be.
Brittany.
I mean, it depends. If Michael loses and Michael has very little points, and
That's
I'm pretty
true.
sure that Roger's
They might
beating
jump
him.
all the way up to 7th place.
Michael is only ahead of either of them by. Michael has 1164. Roger's got 1113. Brittany's got 1110. So only 54 points away.
yeah.
So, I mean, if they win and Michael loses, and they're going to inch closer to Michael if he keeps having games like he's been having.
Yeah.
Michael needs the points, and that's what's keeping him at 7 instead of 4 is the fact that he's down in points.
Yeah.
So-
So I mean, this game's kind of worthless as far as this season goes, but
But it's got huge draft implications.
maybe.
Yeah.
Tune in next season if
Yeah.
we don't get canceled.
I think Brittany will beat Roger, though. I really do. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have a bounce back game and put up 35 points against Indianapolis. I think Chris Carson's going to put up 20, 25 points against Philly.
I think she's going to have a good week, and she doesn't even necessarily have to have a great week with Roger's 5 best players all on bye.
Yeah.
So
So
Roger might play the waiver lottery, and
there's not a lot out there.
there's not.
There's not at
But
all.
as I said, there's a lot of injuries out there.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's really just it's a luck based game at this point.
if he blows up his team to win this week, so what? I mean, he's not ruining his playoff chances.
Yeah.
This is an all in. Get who you can and take some chances and read some backstories. I know I've been getting notifications all day. Who's gonna play for this injured player? Who's gonna play? Who are the Steelers signing?
Stay
off
out
the
of the
bench?
Colts backfield. I will find you.
I mean, who knows? There's like 6 different players.
I know there's a few, and I've got a claim on somebody on that team. So,
Well,
but
I doubt you're gonna get them.
probably not. No, because I mean I'm sure there's between the few players, I'm sure that there's multiple people that have claims in on both of them. So
Yeah.
or all 3 of them. But
But I
yeah.
mean that they're not the only backfield struggling right now. The Steelers backfield. I'm not going to name players, but they are signing people off the street, practice squad. I've used that phrase a few times, but literally they've got like their 5th or 6th string running back, and they're not. These are not the only teams.
yeah,
Detroit is struggling.
The thing with Detroit, though, that like, 'cause I looked at that too, and it's like, who, like, they've got, what's the guy's name? The one that scored the touchdown. It was his first NFL touchdown. Because Dallas drafted him last year, 2008.
Scarborough?
Yes, Bo Scarborough.
Yeah.
But there's such a, you don't know what they're doing
Especially
there at
without,
running back.
Without Matt Stafford.
Yeah. It's hard to tell what they're doing there with running back because whenever, was it Johnson
Yeah.
went down?
Yeah. Or Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson went down, then it was like, oh, this guy's definitely going to take the workload. No.
And Michael picked him up and he didn't.
Do anything. So it's you know, you also have to look at that too. As
I mean, you got Matt Breida hurt. You've got, I'm going to stop naming players, but like I said, waiver wire week, this is a big week for waiver wires. It could have big, not only playoff implications for us, but draft implications for next year.
Yeah, for the bottom feeders in the league.
Indeed.
Yep. So Brittany and Roger, one of you guys needs to win. Because I mean, right now there's 4 people that are buying for that 4th place spot, and that leaves 3 other people that, you know, if you know, it could, those.
No matter who makes it, the other 3 teams are going to be playing for the first round pick next year, the first overall pick next year.
So it's going to come down to whoever wins this game because they're going to obviously have a leg up on the other one. And
I'd like to have my leg up on Roger.
There are only 3 points difference between these two. So whoever wins is going to be up in points. So
Indeed.
Unless Brittany wins by 2 points, then it's going to still be a 1 point thing.
That would be weird.
But yeah, this one's pretty big. So yeah. All right.
Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think.
We have other podcasts.
Yes, we do.
You just recorded one for this upcoming week.
Yeah, Wasted Local Talent.
Yeah. Tell them about it.
Chris Rabb came back.
Who?
Chris Rabb.
I know who he is.
Yeah. So yeah, we got his episode dropping on Thursday, and we also have a new episode of D&D Kinda that is an hour. It's like an hour and 40 some minutes long. It's a heckin' long one. That's dropping on Thursday. I think Video Game Mythos is off for the week. But yeah, we've got those 3. Then we got Gurus of Gaming, who is every Monday. And you guys just did a Pokemon episode, right?
Yeah, there's Pokemon Sword and Shield. Mm-hmm. So if you're a fan of Pokemon or video games, we did a deep dive into Pokemon. And I believe they are recording this week. I believe I'm on that one as well. But there is a new gaming console. Well, not even a console. The Google Stadia is releasing, and we're gonna talk about that some for next week's episode. So if you're into video games at all, we also have Video Game Mythos, which has been on fire lately.
That Luigi episode, though.
Oh my gosh, Luigi's my favorite.
Michael sent it to me to listen to it to make sure that everything was good to go on it, and I was like, "You really need to stop telling me everything that you're talking about in these episodes because it was so good, but I knew what was, I knew what was unfolding."
Yeah.
I was like, just give me the episode and let me listen. It's one thing if I have to edit it for him, like the Majora's Mask one, the Ben Drowns one, because that takes a while, especially that long of an episode.
That was a long one.
But those shorter ones, I like to go into it with, I want to learn. I don't want to already know, and I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I told him to stop.
And that's one thing I know Michael has let me know what upcoming episodes there are. And he's even played a few intros for me just as like a teaser, but he's kept everything really close to the chest. He's like, I'm doing Luigi. I know you really like Luigi. So like 6 a.m. Thursday morning, I'm like, download. And
it's a good one.
I listened to it on the way to work. It was great.
It's really good.
Ryan Wilfong does it too. He's kind of great, but I mean...
He's great in his own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got, like we said, Video Game Mythos, D&D Kinda, Gurus of Gaming, all under the 13 Palm Tree shade.
Coming down the home stretch.
Yeah.
Fantasy football.
We are. We've got 4 more weeks.
Total.
Yep. So we'll be doing 4 more of these podcasts. Maybe 5. We might do a season recap and try to have more people on.
Yeah.
If we can do it like on a Sunday or something whenever
like
more people are free.
Yeah. Pre-recorded, put a microphone in their face.
Yeah.
How did that loss make you feel?
We'll just interview everybody on the team or everybody in the league. We'll just be like, one by one.
I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. Colin Kaepernick. I saw someone that said that's my relationship status.
What?
Ready for 3 years, denied for 3 years.
Story of my life. Wow, this is a long one.
Is it?
All right, yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. I can just listen to it on my way home. And so can you. So tune in next week and tune in Thursday to hear more from Chris Rabb and his novella that he's coming up with, that he's writing. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.